Would you be the jerk for refusing to refer your own brother to your workplace? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for reminding my mom that my son is a child? My son was sick yesterday, and my mom offered to babysit for me since I couldn't miss work. For context, I, 30-year-old female, am a single mom because my husband passed away in an accident last year. We had 2 kids together, ages 12 and 8, and my 8-year-old has severe ADHD and autism. Being a newly single mom, money has been really tight, and I do get state assistance but not a lot, and my husband didn't have life insurance, so there was no money left to us from him. My mom and sister help me with the babysitting if the kids are sick or if there's no school because I can't afford a sitter. The issues came when I told her I didn't have food to spare right now because I haven't been able to go shopping yet and to please bring her own food or be prepped to have to buy herself food because the food I have in the house is strictly for the kids until I can get to the store this weekend. We were all super sick last weekend and I don't live in a town with a grocery store and the closest one is a 30-minute drive. She said it would be easier to take my son to her house then, which I was okay with, but the 8-year-old hates going to her house. When she comes to get him, he has a meltdown because he doesn't want to go to her house. I ask if she can just stay and I can find a way to get more food before the weekend. She said no and insisted he had to come with her, and that made it worse. Now, my mom has not had great patience, but her and my sister are the only sitters I have right now because they don't charge me much, just the gas to get here. Well, she lost it and started yelling at me and him that she didn't have time for this and she had plans that day she canceled just to watch him. She didn't mention this to me when I asked. She also said, I quote, "I wish we could trade lives and I could lay around and throw tantrums all day and you can go to work and just have everyone use you and take your money all the time. How much it must suck to be you and do whatever you want while I have to do nothing but take care of other people." I never borrow money from my mother, but my sister and grandma live with her and they don't work. So I know she is under a lot of stress and she takes it out on me a lot. Calling me burden, letting me know how much my tragic loss has affected her negatively, calling me other names or yelling at me for things my sister or grandma do. I didn't yell or argue. I simply covered his ears and looked at her and went, "Mom, he is 8. She lost it and screamed, "Freak you then! Miss work and lose money, I don't care, I'm leaving." And then she left. Now she says she will not babysit for me again so I can know true struggle, which if she follows through, means I have to miss a bunch of work or find a sitter I can trust that won't break my bank. So I'm wondering, should I have cut her a break knowing she's under so much pressure, and I understand she's frustrated and needs to get it off her chest, but I feel like a verbal punching bag and I don't want my kids to have to deal with that as well. Am I the jerk? Update, my mom is banned from my place of work and I will no longer be speaking to her, my grandma, and will be limiting contact with my sister. I was sent home early due to my emotional state. They showed up before my lunch break and demanded to talk to me, and when my boss said no, my mom lost it and started screaming at her so loudly I could hear down the hall from my classroom. She sent another staff member to get me to try to defuse the situation, but my mom only started screaming at me that I wasted her time and her gas because she was going to have to wait around all day for me. I told her to go to lunch at 12:15 p.m. every day and she showed at 10:30 a.m. while calling me all sorts of names and cussing with every other word. I asked if we could go outside to talk and she said that she no longer wants to talk to me and that she just came because my sister asked her to. I didn't know this. My sister made it seem like it was my mom's idea on the phone. One of the coworkers is going to be retiring a week before Thanksgiving and told me she will watch my kids during school breaks after she retires for the same price I paid my mom after everyone got to see what my mother was like in person. She said she doesn't feel right having me keep her as a sitter after her behavior today, and she understands how hard being a widow is. She lost her husband when her kids were 10 and 14, but I had no idea until today since she never shared much about her personal life. We ended up having to talk to the police on my mother because she was refusing to leave and they came and escorted her off the property. After they left, my sister called me to tell me that my mom blocked me on everything and told her she no longer has 2 daughters, just 1, and that my sister is forbidden from coming to see me or watching the kids while she lives with our mother. Luckily, she will be moving in with her fiancé after he gets back from deployment. Thank you all for the advice. I did apply online to Social Security, but received an automated email response saying due to the federal shutdown, the local office is closed. They'll check my application as soon as someone returns to the office. Also, in case anyone wonders, my coworker's new childcare was a struggle for me, but didn't have any advice to help me with childcare because most of them don't have kids, or their kids are already grown. But the lady who offered to help is one of my favorite coworkers, and she's come over to help me make decorations for our classroom at work, so she knows my kids and they seem to really like her whenever she came by to work on work things, and I know she's fully certified and trained to care for a special needs child, as everyone at my place of employment is. You know, I almost forgot that this is an Am I the Jerk Here story. I thought this was like just a rant. To clarify, a justified rant. I mean, all I really can say is bless that coworker for offering to help out when they can. I mean, maybe somebody in the comments would disagree, but I don't think OP's losing much by letting their mom go. Sickerhead commented, not the jerk. She's an adult. She's allowed to have her big feelings around other adults, but it's immature as heck and very damaging to take that out on an 8-year-old. You did the right thing in refusing to let her treat your child like that. For babysitting, do you have a church near you? They'll probably try to convince you to join the church, that is unavoidably part of it, but they might have access to some kind of program to get temporary daycare access for single mothers. Who Pays the Bills commented, daycare costs a lot more than food. Your family doesn't owe you free daycare, and the least you can do is feed the person watching your kid for free. You could have told her you'd be an hour late and hit up the store after work. Now you still haven't been to the store, you're going to miss work, and you'll have less money. Beggars would be wise to avoid upsetting the people from whom they're begging. You're the jerk. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for not allowing my sister's dogs loose in my new car? I, 21-year-old female, and my sister, 19-year-old female, are going to Thanksgiving at our Nana's next month. She lives in a small town in Missouri about 3 hours away. My sister doesn't have a driver's license, car, or a job, so it was implied that I would be taking her with me. I was fine with that. My sister brought it up to me that she would be bringing her 2 dogs with her. She immediately added that they will be free roaming in the car before I could say anything to the first statement. I told her I wouldn't be okay with that because it's a brand new car and one of her 2 dogs is very misbehaved. They're both smallish dogs that are about 20 pounds each. I told her I'm fine with having them in crates, secured in the trunk. I drive a new Toyota RAV4, so there's plenty of space for some roomy crates and there's plenty of airflow. She told me I can't expect her to make her do that to her dogs. I told her that, yes, in fact I can. It's my car and your free ride to grandma's. She told me I will let them free roam. I told her she doesn't get to decide that. She then says, I'm not telling you, I'm demanding you. Her dogs literally start fighting while we're talking. I tell her, you can find a ride then. She then tells me to leave and go back to my apartment. Am I the jerk? Edit, to be more clear, yes, my Nana is aware the dogs will be coming. The car is an SUV, so the trunk isn't closed off from the cabin at all. The dogs would be visible from the back seat. I have cloth seats that would just be a magnet for dog hair and dog stink. She doesn't keep her dogs groomed very well at all, and simply petting one for a few seconds will stink up your hand. There are not any clear laws for the state of Oklahoma or Missouri that have requirements for dog restraints. Thank you all for confirming my doubts. She was being manipulative as freak, and I started to doubt myself over the situation. I was thinking I was being irrational over this. To be honest, I don't actually know the most approved way to transport a dog in a car. I know for a fact that free roam definitely isn't it though. That said, I can't say that I'm too crazy about the sound of in a crate strapped down. To be fair, I could be completely wrong in that regard. Let me know down in the comments if I am. Regardless, it's OP's car, and if they don't want their sister's 2 dogs especially free roaming in it, they're not the jerk for saying, no, that's not gonna happen. Sufficient Engine 38 commented, not the jerk. Having them crated to drive safely isn't negotiable. Your car, your rules. Your sister sounds entitled. On the other hand, Gus Harrington 1 commented, you are the jerk. If the dogs are crate dogs, it would be horribly mean to do that to them. I think you should let them be free in the cargo area and have your sister sit back there with them. Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking my husband to take our son to the hospital with him while on bed rest for serious knee injury? 48 hours ago, my left knee began swelling severely to about the size of a softball. I received emergency care during this first visit, having the excess fluid drained, being given a splint to keep my knee from bending, as well as muscle relaxers and strong pain relief. Less than 24 hours later, my knee is swollen again to the same size. We head back into the ER and my knee is drained again. I'm given pain relief and I'm told not to walk at all. I'm then told that they would like to admit me but have no beds, so I am to be admitted next morning. We are a military family currently stationed abroad, so we need referrals for continued care after emergency care. Our hospital on post is not equipped to continue my care. It's very small. We're directed to receive referrals and go off post. That brings us to this morning. My husband wakes me up and says he's going to run to the hospital to work on my referral. I ask him to please take our 3-year-old son with him, as he hates sitting still, being cooped up in our bedroom even with screen time, and he's 3, only very natural, he wants to play. He doesn't always do so safely, which is okay because he's only 3 and doesn't know better. I'm also taking meds that make me quite drowsy. Couple that with a lack of sleep due to pain and not being able to get comfortable, I know as a parent it's not safe. My husband says to me, "So I'm not to leave the house ever without my son?" Quite angrily. I explain again about my condition, bed rest, and fear that if something is to happen, I can't walk to help him, and if I do, I'll worsen my injury. My husband then says, "No, you're just being lazy." So, can someone with fresh eyes please tell me if I am indeed wrong? I don't mind being wrong at all, so please be honest. I just feel that for my safety and my son's, it was best he go with his father. Disclaimer, not a parent, but I kind of agree with OP that your 3-year-old should have pretty constant supervision. There was a time when I was a little bit older than 3 and my parents weren't giving constant supervision, and before they knew it, I already was outside of the house and halfway down the main road almost to like the convenience stores when they rolled up panicked in their car looking for me. OP can't really even walk. Is it really worth the gamble? Espresso then Wine commented, "Not the jerk. A 3-year-old needs constant supervision. You're not able to do that at the moment. It's not even safe. He should call his family or a sitter or take your son with him. He should figure it out. You're on bed rest and medications." On the other hand, Small Health 555 commented, "Everybody sucks here. I can't imagine dragging a 3-year-old to an office or hospital. I would think your husband will be waiting or doing paperwork and won't be able to watch him. Meanwhile, you have this knee injury. Can you not take the meds for a few hours to maintain your full brain capacity? I know it sucks to be in pain, but if you're just sitting on the couch, is it terrible to watch your kid, assuming your home is child-proofed? I came home from a complicated second C-section with a newborn and a 3-year-old by myself because my husband was working 2 jobs and I was alone with both kids, plus a dog from day 6 onward. No driving, no lifting, no stairs because of a complication, etc. Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking my wife permission to go to a very close friend's wedding overseas, 8 hours away? I have a very close friend that will have his wedding next year. He invited me as one of the groomsmen and of course my whole family, wife and 2 kids, 7 years and 4 years old. Due to financial and circumstances, we cannot as a family attend. So I then asked if I can go by myself instead and spend max 4 to 5 days overseas to celebrate with them. Please note that this friend and 4 other closest brothers that I truly love and trust with all of my heart will also be there. Please also note that we had an all-boys trip 3 years back as part of a bucket list and wife approved it, but this time she got really upset. She said, how could I even think of leaving my whole family over a wedding and that I'm putting the guilt on her, and that I should have realized by myself that it was a no from the get-go. Lastly, she said that I should be a father and be done with my bachelorhood. I'm a single earner, but able to afford more than enough for them. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't womanize. I just work and go home, and the only real friends I have are those boys overseas. Now, we're not talking for 2 days, and I don't know if I'm the jerk for even asking. So I guess my question is, does she want the rest of the family to go? And the problem is OP's telling them, no, only I can. Because if OP themselves wants to go, but it's just not reasonable for the rest of the family, or the rest of the family don't really want to, and it really is a situation where they can afford it, things are taken care of, then I don't think OP would be the jerk for wanting to go, or going. Like, it kind of sounds to me like their partner is trying to be very restrictive. EJC1279 commented, not the jerk based on the info provided, but is it possible this is the straw that broke the camel's back? When my children were small, I used to be the sole earner and didn't do drugs, booze, women, etc., but I needed to do more than that. I should have helped more with the kids and around the home. Not saying you're like me, but if you are, you would be better off changing. I am become soil on the other hand commented, "You are the jerk." Sounds like you're both playing the "we don't have money" and "I have the money just for me" cards. It sounds like you went away leaving your wife with a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old by playing the bucket list card, which means that it's a do it and done kind of thing, and now you're saying, well, this is important too, so I'm gonna do that also. Our next story is, am I the jerk for letting my daughter stay with me and my wife after she found out that her mom lied to her? My ex and I have a 12-year-old daughter, Olivia, with autism level 2. My ex has primary custody, and I have Olivia on Wednesdays and every other weekend. A few months ago, my ex told me she was feeling a little burnt out, so she wanted us to keep Olivia from Wednesday to Sunday so she could go on a trip with some friends. Olivia is very attached to her mom, so my ex told Olivia that it was a work trip and she had to go. Last week, one of my ex's friends was at the house with my ex and Olivia, and their vacation somehow came up. Olivia figured out that the vacation was the work trip that her mom told her about and freaked out because her mom lied to her and her mom doesn't lie. She hid in her room for the rest of the day and then called me and asked me to come get her. She's been with us ever since. She's really upset about this. She cries all the time because she wants her mom, but she doesn't know what else her mom lied about and she doesn't trust her. Apparently, Olivia's aide called my ex because she's been having a hard time in school, so now my ex-wife is demanding that I send Olivia home so they can get her back to her routines and start working with her therapist to help her get over this. But I told her Olivia will go back when she's ready. Now she's threatening to call the police and/or take me back to court over custodial interference, even though we've always had a very friendly co-parenting relationship. My wife thinks we should send her back to avoid drama, but I think it should be Olivia's choice. Am I the jerk for refusing to send her back after she found out her mom lied to her? To be honest, I feel like this is kind of a tricky one to comment on because I'm not an expert here. What do I know about anything? But it does kind of sound like OP's kind of protecting or reinforcing bad behaviors here. What is actually wrong about letting your kid get back to the original routines and see a therapist? Like, what is OP actually protecting them from? Keystone3648 commented, "You are the jerk. This is a consequence of your daughter's rigid thinking due to autism. Essentially, lie equals bad, no exceptions. Your ex told a white lie because your daughter is so attached to her she doesn't feel like she can do things for herself without upsetting her. Basically, either way, she was hosed. Then, instead of explaining the concept of a white lie to your daughter and also keeping why her mom needs a time alone to recharge in general, you help demonize your ex by keeping her at your house because she's disproportionately upset at her mom. What did your ex do to you that was so bad that you're using your daughter as a pawn in your game? Be a better dad, please." On the other hand, Wonderful Owl 5492 commented, "You are the jerk." So, no one's thinking about what the daughter actually wants? She's seriously upset with her mother to the point of asking to stay with her dad. I know everyone's autism is different. She doesn't want to go home to her mom, which tells me that if she's forced to go back, it'll make things worse. OP's waiting for his daughter to be ready to go back. I say don't force her. She can still see her therapist while being with her dad. Her mother shouldn't have lied to her. She should have explained what she was doing since she knew something like this was going to happen if the daughter discovered the truth. Also, this isn't a white lie, this is a straight lie. She lied about where she was going and doing. Our next story is, am I the jerk? My wife came home upset because she was hungry and I didn't have a meal prepared. Backstory, I, male 32, have been married to my wife, female 31, for 5 years. My wife has always made the meals and I've always cleaned up for the most part. I have tried to cook for her before, but she just rejects it and tells me she doesn't like it. She keeps bringing up that I put cinnamon in scrambled eggs once, which I definitely do not remember doing, but she 100% believes I did that, so I'm not going to argue with her over it. I work one 8-hour shift and two 16-hour shifts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday respectively. She works a retail job and is there 5 times a week with a varying schedule. She usually cleans up dishes on the weekend because I'm not home to do them, and I have gotten upset in the past coming home Monday to a large amount of dishes from over the weekend. So what happened tonight was I was off work today and relaxing while I waited for her to get off. In my head, she was going to get home, maybe cook, and we'd hit the gym. Instead, she called me and asked me to start cutting up steaks for Mongolian beef. So I do that, and she walks in the door and tells me, "You're parked like a jerk. You couldn't leave me any room. I could barely get out." I ask her why she's so upset, and she said, "I am so hungry and I have to cook a whole butt meal after working all day." I respond, "You would have had to do that anyway, and I would make it for you, but you hate my cooking and won't eat it anyway." She responds, "You don't even freaking try." So I went upstairs and started making this post, hoping to just give her some space to calm down. She came up crying a little bit ago. In my head, it feels like she thinks I'm weaponizing incompetence. In my own world, that's not it. I know how to cook, but I'm not joking. Every time I've made something, she didn't want any of it and made her own stuff. I know she wants a hot meal after work, but I'm just here thinking I was being respectful by listening to her when she says she doesn't want my cooking when now she wants me to have food prepared. I'm so confused. Am I the jerk? Update, she came upstairs and covered her head, and anytime I tried to ask her if she wanted me to get her anything to eat, she said no and that she'll have sleep for dinner. I suggested takeout and listed places I knew she liked until she stopped saying no and said, "I don't know." So now I'm here at a chicken place picking up her go-to meal at this particular place. Update 2, I get 5 hours of sleep both mornings that I have to get up for work, Saturday and Sunday, if that, and I feel horrible on those days. I get no time to myself on those weekend work days and can never attend any weekend social events. By the time Sunday night quitting time rolls around, I am done for. I'm responsible for all the housework during the week, minus the cooking. I also deliver groceries whenever I run out of things to do at home, but this is on a if I feel like it kind of basis. I drive for Spark. She gets to go home after work every night and sleep a full 8 to 9 hours. She doesn't really have to do many chores besides cooking. Update 3, yes, I do all the chores except cooking, every single one by myself. Very few exceptions. Her doing her own dishes on the weekend is one. When guests are coming or when we have a party is the other. We talked. She was upset specifically because I ate at 5 p.m. without her. She wanted me to think of her and bring her something and eat with her, even if it was some takeout or snacks. I don't necessarily think OP is the jerk, however, I do feel like there could be a better effort to try to learn what she likes. I mean, OP says that they tried. I would love if OP could honestly and earnestly answer, have they sat down and cooked together so that OP can prepare something that is undeniably good for her? I mean, if she's the one guiding and leading you to the result, surely she can't say, "Oh, well, that's bad too." Culinary Gardener commented, "Not the jerk. Sounds like your wife had a bad day and decided to put it all on you as she walked through the door. It's already established in your relationship that she doesn't like your cooking, and it sounds like she needs to grow up and learn how to communicate like an adult, and maybe communicate what foods you could make that she would like, because you'll both need to make food for each other in the future." I laughed out loud at the "I'll have sleep for dinner" comment. On the other hand, Bexcellent101 commented, "Wait, you've been married for 5 years and you haven't bothered to learn to cook a single meal that your wife likes to eat?" Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my mom to stop villainizing middle school? I'm a single mom to an 11-year-old girl. I chose to be a single mother by choice using a sperm donor. My mom and I weren't always close when I was younger, but we grew closer when I became a mom myself. She ended up moving in with me and has helped me raise my daughter. In the early summer, I got a job transfer to a new state and my mom came with us. While the area we moved to is very nice, the issue is that the public schools are not great. Prior to the move, I found an all-girls private school. My mom wasn't thrilled with this. Both she and I were bullied as teens, and my mom always said, "Teen girls are just the worst." She felt I was opening up my daughter to be bullied. However, when I did more research on the school and all-girls schools in general, I found that there was actually less bullying and mean girlness. The school itself also seems to focus a lot on uplifting women and focusing on building up women's accomplishments rather than pitting them against one another. So, after my daughter and I visited the school prior to the move, I decided to enroll her. She started in September and she loves it so much. She has a lot of friends already and says what I thought was true. There seems to be less cattiness than a regular middle school. She says she's noticed some bullying between other kids, but it's not as much as she saw when she was at her public elementary school last year. She also said it's handled in a much different way. I'm glad she's enjoying it. However, my mom continues to be a negative Nancy on the situation. She checks in with my daughter to ask how school is going, but then will start on her rant about how preteen and teen girls are all so mean, they're the worst, middle school is the worst time ever. I've talked to her before and asked her to stop. Yesterday, my daughter got into an argument with one of her friends. It wasn't anything big, just typical preteen stuff that gets kind of blown out of proportion. I'm sure I had fights similar with my friends at that age. I was comforting her and validating her emotions, as well as giving her advice. My mom came home and asked what was wrong. My daughter told her, and my mom went on her tirade yet again about how middle school are the worst 3 years of any young woman's life and you couldn't pay her to relive it. I shut her down and said my daughter had one bad day. That doesn't mean these 3 years will be bad. My mom kept insisting, girls are the worst. I shut her down again and told her that isn't true. Even my daughter was telling her some things she's learned at school. My mom got irritated and told me that I'm undermining her experience. I pointed out that I had the exact same experience, but I'm not going to let it cloud my daughter. I told her later on that she needs to cut out the comments. She, again, said that I'm trying to undermine her experience and that I can't tell her how to react. Am I the jerk for wanting her to stop villainizing middle school? Yeah, I don't think OP's the jerk here. I think the fear is, with all of this negative talk and being like, this was the worst time of my life, it was horrendous, it is going to be awful for all girls. She's kind of serving to put a paranoia and a fear in this kid's head that, despite one bad experience, doesn't seem to really be the case. I mean, if you experience one electrical fire, are you going to go on and on for the rest of your days about how unsafe plugging anything in is? Would it be fair to bring that up every time there was ever a conversation about a plug or a wall outlet? Smallish Bear Duck commented, not the jerk. Technically, I have the right to talk about my hypothetical hemorrhoids, but that doesn't mean it's helpful or appropriate to have that conversation with all people at all times. I was bullied throughout much of my school life, but I don't rant about it to others anytime the topic of school comes up. Your mom sounds like she needs some therapy to help her process her experiences, both for her sake and the sake of others. Not the jerk for protecting your daughter from a frequent trauma tirade about what she's likely to experience the next few years is going to be a form of heck or the worst thing ever. It's not appropriate or helpful for her to be hearing that, especially repeatedly. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to refer my brother to my workplace even though my parents are upset? I, 24-year-old female, work in a high-paying job that I got through a friend's referral. I worked very, very hard to get here. I started applying like nuts after my graduation and worked since my graduation, which is around 3 years. I took this time to groom myself and become independent. I'm the youngest of all my siblings. My dad's been out of a job for a couple of years, and it's been very mentally taxing on us since he was the sole breadwinner. I sometimes treat my siblings out to food and entertainment, despite being the youngest, and I do that because I want to eat food and I have to order it for them too, because otherwise it seems unkind and selfish, even if the bill racks up 3 times. My oldest brother, 28-year-old male, just finished his bachelor's after many years. He has no experience, doesn't apply anywhere, and spends most of his time playing games. He's also verbally abusive to me and often disrespects our parents. Recently, my mom and dad asked me to refer my brother to my job since it doesn't require a lot of experience and is mostly contact-based. She said that since someone referred me, I should do the same for him. She's clearly hurt that I hesitated, but I'm reluctant because 1, my brother is 28 and literally the most careless person in this world. He has made no efforts for himself. 2, he is very verbally abusive when things don't go his way, and I just don't want to share professional space with him. I've literally tried helping him for 2 months to apply for jobs. I even created an email account and applied to all sorts of places, but no luck. I created the CV too. Still, I feel awful because my parents are heartbroken and think I'm being selfish. I love them deeply and understand their worry, but I just can't bring myself to risk my reputation for someone who doesn't even try. Am I the jerk for saying no? Edit, maybe he can do a good job, but I'm mostly mad at how he treats me and gosh, I just feel awful about it. Update, I want to thank every one of you that commented. I read and thought about every comment. I decided to let my parents know it won't work out because of company policy of not being able to recommend your relatives, and they understood it. So I guess that's the end of that. Thank you for helping me out. I was genuinely so lost. So evidently somebody in the comments must have suggested to OP, hey, tell them that there's a company policy that you can't recommend friends and relatives or whatnot. I mean, if I was the family and I was told that, I probably would believe it, but in reality, are there all that many companies that have this kind of restriction besides ones that it might be a real conflict of interest? Elegant Bluebird 460 commented, "Firmly not the jerk. This is your job. Never mix family in your work. Also, most companies don't allow referral for a family member, and I would lean on that." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.